Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to Christmas Advent day number 2. Today's video we're going to be doing a comparison between burnishing and blending with two different types of pencils. First off, if you want to see this tutorial in real time, then head on over to my Patreon page. There is a full version of this in real time available over there for just $5 per month. All the materials that I have used throughout this tutorial are listed in the description below should you wish to check those out. So we're going to be comparing 6 different types of burnishing and blending. So we have two different types of burnishing and then 4 different types of blending. We have burnishing with a coloured pencil, burnishing with the derwent burnisher, we're blending with some solvent using Zest It, we're using a pencil blender from derwent blender pens, and also the Caran d'Ache colourless blender, which comes in the set of pencils and you can get it singularly as well. So I'm using 2 different types of pencils for this. I'm using the polychromos pencils, which are the harder lead, and I'm using the luminance colour pencils, which are the softer core lead, and we're just going to compare how they fare with each of these different methods. So to begin with, all I'm doing is just laying down one layer of colour of each of these. So for the polychromos, I'm using 2 different types of blue, one lighter and one darker, and I'm using the same kind of tones in the luminance as well. So I've just laid down one layer to begin with of the polychromos, then I'm going over and just adding subsequent layers just to build up that colour so that we can really gauge how well it fares with burnishing and blending. Obviously blending and burnishing work a lot better when you have a lot more layers and not just the one, so that's why I'm just building up the layers ever so lightly, just going over about 6 or 7 times in each colour. So going over 6 or 7 times with the lighter colour and then the darker colour, and then also blending them into one another ever so slightly just so we can get a nice even blend. So once I have done that for the polychromos, I'm also doing exactly the same for the luminance. So I'm layering down the one layer of each colour to begin with, then I'm going over with the subsequent layers and blending them slightly into one another. So you can see once I have actually laid down the colours without doing any burnishing or blending, you can see that it is actually quite grainy. You can see the grain of the paper showing through. It's not really a nice finish. So this is why you require to burnish or blend your coloured pencils. So the first method we're going to be doing is burnishing with a coloured pencil, and the coloured pencil that I usually like to burnish with, and this is one that I use in my pet portrait and wildlife work, is the Caran d'Ache white pencil. I always use this pencil in my own work just to burnish over certain areas. You can see burnishing with the pencil, it has smoothed out the colours on the polychromos quite a lot, and with the luminance. The only different thing with burnishing with a white coloured pencil is that you get this white overlay. Also with burnishing with a coloured pencil, you have to go in with quite a hard pressure, so this wouldn't be a method to use if you have quite delicate wrists or you find it hard to put that much pressure onto your paper. You need to put quite a lot of pressure through the white pencil to be able to burnish adequately. So then I'm just going over with the colours once again to see how well they layer over the top, and it is quite difficult to add colour back over the top once you've burnished this hard with a white pencil. So this would be a method that you would use towards the end of your portrait, so you would only use this method to burnish towards the end when you don't really want to add that many layers back over the top. So the second method is using the derwent burnisher. This is just a hardcore pencil. It acts in the same way as a white pencil, except you don't get that white overlay. Now I found this method to be quite bad, as you can see, compared to the burnishing with the pencil. It's left it quite grainy, especially with the polychromos, the harder core pencil. With the luminance, the softer core pencil, it's blended it quite nicely, and I think this is more to do with the fact that the derwent range of things is to use with their derwent pencils, which is quite a soft core pencil anyway. So again, I've just added the colours back over the top, and again, these were really difficult to add back over. Again, because you're burnishing the paper, you're losing the tooth of the paper, so you're losing the texture which actually grips onto the pencil, which is why it's always difficult to go over and add subsequent layers. So the next method is blending with a solvent. In this case, I'm using the Zest It pencil blend. I've got the sponge applicator and I'm using a paintbrush to just apply a very, very thin layer onto the paper. You can see I take my time, I really work the paintbrush, I use circular motions to try and fill as much of the tooth of the paper as possible, and you can see that it's blended it out really nice and smoothly. There's hardly any grain showing through whatsoever on the polychromos side, and the colours have blended quite nice together. This is a method to use if you don't like to use a lot of pressure. The solvent just breaks down the pigment in the pencils and it dissolves it into the tooth of the paper, so it gives a really nice blend. It makes it look really painterly. It looks like you've just gone in with watercolour or oil paints rather than coloured pencil itself. So adding coloured pencil back over the top is super easy when you're using a solvent because, as I said, it dissolves the pigment and the binders into the paper. It doesn't leave a waxy residue and it doesn't actually damage the tooth of the paper blending this way, so you're able to add absolutely loads of layers back over the top. So this is a perfect way of blending, and I really love the application of this and the results that it produces. So you can see the three compared to one another. At the moment, the best one I would say is the Zest pencil blend, and the worst is a Derwent burnisher. So now we're moving on to the Derwent pencil blender. So again, this comes with the Derwent burnisher and it comes in pencil format. Again, it's a nice hard lead and you just rub it over your coloured pencil to try and blend it together. I found that this didn't really work on the polychromos again like I found with the Derwent burnisher, but it really worked quite nicely with the luminance pencils. Again, I think that's just because they're a softer core. Adding pencil back over the top wasn't that difficult. It wasn't as hard as it was when I was using the burnishing technique, but it wasn't as easy as when I was using the Zest pencil blend. The luminance colour pencils went over a lot easier and a lot smoother than the polychromos did. You can see it's a lot smoother on the luminance side than the polychromos. You've got a bit of that grain showing through on the polychromos. So next up is the Derwent Blender pen, and these are kind of similar to the solvent blender except you don't have to use a brush to apply it. It comes in a pen format. I think these ones are actually alcohol based as well, so it's kind of like you would get in a marker, so like a Copic marker or something like that. So all you do is just draw and drag the pen across your coloured pencil and it blends it together nicely. You get the similar sort of effect as the Zest pencil blend. The colours don't tend to go as dark and as rich as you get with the Zest pencil blend though. The results from the Derwent Blender pen are actually really quite nice. I made a review of this and I'll pop a link in the description below and a card up above. I made a review of this a little while ago and I think I was a little bit unfair to it, but I think I've got the hang of them now and it actually blended out quite nicely. So this is another method if you don't like to apply a lot of pressure to your work and just want a nice easy blending method. Next up is the Caran d'Ache Colourless Blender, and this is just basically a big wax stick which you use in the same manner as the Derwent blender, or if you're burnishing you just use it like a normal pencil, just drag it over your coloured pencil work and it blends everything together. Now this is obviously made to use with the Caran d'Ache Luminance pencils as it comes in the full set with those, and I must say it does work absolutely spectacularly with the Luminance colour pencils. It actually works really well with the polychromos as well, which I was quite surprised about. So adding layers back over this was fairly okay. It was a little bit difficult because obviously the blender stick itself is a big wax crayon, so it leaves quite a bit of waxy residue which is quite hard to add the layers back over the top, but with a little bit of pressure you can add a few layers back over. So we come to the results of this little burnishing and blending experiment comparison thing, and I would say, obviously this is my opinion, but I would say that the best results are with the Zest pencil blend, purely because you get a really nice blend. You can add multiple layers back over the top. It's really easy to use. You don't have to use hard pressure. You don't have to apply any pressure to your hand or the pencil and work through pencils. It's really easy to apply. You can apply it with different methods as well. You can use cotton buds, you can use paintbrushes, you can use tortillons, you can use absolutely anything to apply it. You get really nice smooth application results in both the polychromos and the luminance, so both hard and soft cored pencils. You could say the same for the Derwent blender pens as well. That gives a really nice results, but I prefer the solvent blending method. With burnishing, my favourite method, again this is my own opinion, is burnishing with a pencil. You don't necessarily have to use a white pencil, you can use absolutely any colour pencil. So for instance, if you was drawing a black dog, what you would use is a darker toned pencil, or a pencil that you had used throughout that portrait, so you don't necessarily have to use the white pencil and get that white overlay. But I personally really like burnishing with the pencil as I'm going. It gives really smooth results, and I've built up a technique with it that I'm happy to use, and that works for me. So I would like to know what you guys use as a blending or burnishing method, and which one of these you actually liked. And do you agree? Do you find the solvent blender gives a really nice blend, or do you prefer a different method? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, a share, hit the bell icon as well so you can get notified of all of the Advent videos. I will be posting a new video every day for the run up to Christmas, so hit that bell icon to be notified when new ones are released. I will see you guys in tomorrow's Advent video. Bye!